Hello y'all, and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I want to rate the books that I read over the last 2 months, the books that I read in December and January. I do kind of want to make this a series on my channel. If I happen to read quite a few books each month, I want to just rate them and let you know how I felt about different books. I think this is a great way to review books and help to make suggestions to those who also love to read and who may be curious about what books I'm enjoying, and may want to read some of the books that I've enjoyed. Also, if you do like book hauls, I will also be uploading a haul of books that I bought over the last 2 to 3 weeks. So if you're interested in that, stay tuned for that video as well. Also, I do want to put out a disclaimer because I did have intentions on posting other videos last week as well as this week as well, but my schedule got messed up because I had the flu, and so it really just messed up everything last week. But I'm going to start off this week with some book reviews and things, and then we can get back into some of the other videos that I said I was going to upload as well. All right, so starting with the first book that I read in December, it was The Personal Librarian. This is a historical fiction, and this book is regarding Bella da Costa Green, who was a African-American woman who passed as white. She is actually responsible for, or was working for JP Morgan and helped him to build the JP Morgan Library, which is one of the best libraries in the world. I really wanted to give this book 5 stars. I just thought that when I read it, it was going to be one of my favorite books, but it ended up not really happening that way. I actually gave this book 3.5 stars. I just felt like it was missing a lot of really important elements. It's a historical fiction, so I feel like the author had a lot to play with, and I felt like they played it too safe, and they also did not really touch on factors that I think that a lot of people were really hoping to see in this book. They focused too much on romance that we didn't really know much about, and I feel like it really just downplayed this lady. Like, I feel like Bella da Costa Green was a very intelligent and remarkable woman, and I feel like she did not display that very well in this book. The author did not display her very well in this book, and a lot of people have also agreed that if this was truly who she was, which we don't know, but this is again a historical book, historical fiction, so it's a fake account written about her, and if she were to be like the person that the author tried to make her to be, a lot of us agree that we would not like her. So I feel like the author kind of did her an injustice. The next book that I will add up here that I read in the month of December is Merry Christmas. I am typically not a holiday book kind of girly. I never read like these Christmassy books, but I thought, you know what, I have a lot of time on my hand, so I'm going to read something that's going to help me to get set in the Christmassy kind of spirit. So I chose Merry Christmas. I read this as, or listened to this book as an Audible. This book was about 2 individuals who met in the past, kind of had a one-night stand, and end up rekindling their relationship in the future. This is a romance novel, as you can probably tell. This book had a little bit of spiciness in it, which I did not think or know would be in such a book, because I thought that these books were always just strictly like Hallmark books, which in a sense they kind of are, but they do have a little bit of spiciness in them. But I did enjoy the book overall, and I also gave this book a 3.5 stars. I didn't really have high hopes for it, as it's just a romantic holiday book, so I didn't really expect too much out of it, but for what it was, I did enjoy it. The next book that I read was Love in Other Words. I read this book with a book club that I am in. For the most part, majority of us gave this book anywhere between a 3.5 to 4 stars. I gave it a 3.5 stars. I'm just not a huge romance girly, but I did think that this book was pretty good. I don't really know how to talk about this book without giving any spoilers, but basically it just follows the interaction between two individuals who fall in love at a young age, and then just kind of follows their love story, I guess you can say. But it's kind of drama, so it's not like cutesy, it's more like a drama kind of love story, if you will. Also, this book may put you in your feels, so if you're looking for a good romantic drama and a little bit of in your feelings kind of book, then this book is going to be for you. The next book we read in the month of December was another book that I was so excited to read, that I've had on my shelf for a long time, and I'm like, oh, when I read this, I know it's going to be 5 stars, and it just wasn't. That was Sally Rooney's Normal People. I really have been wanting to read this book for some time, and finally got around to doing it one day. I literally woke up early in the morning so I could knock it out in a full day. And you know, it just was not my cup of tea, and that's okay. I feel like for those who love these style of books, I could see why they particularly may like them, but it just was not for me. I did not connect with these characters whatsoever. I just felt so bored reading this book and was just ready for it to be over, unfortunately. I gave this book 3 stars. Originally, I think I was saying it was like 3.5 stars, but thinking about other books that I've given 3.5 stars, I like them. I gave this book 3 stars, and originally I think I was saying that it was 3.5 stars. When I really considered other books that I've given 3.5 stars, I feel like I don't like this one as much as I did those books. So I'm going to change my rating to a 3 stars for this book. However, do not let that keep you from running to read it. You may enjoy it, but it just was not for me. I don't really know if I want to read any other Sally Rooney books, but I guess I will, because I don't think it's fair to completely judge her writing based off of just one book. The next book I read was on Kindle, and it was Malibu Rising. I really enjoyed this book a lot. I didn't really know what to expect, but I do like Taylor Jenkins Reid's writing, so I guess there's no surprise there. This is one of those books where you're constantly jumping from the past and the present, and it is centered around a group of siblings who are kind of like famous, more so in the like sports world, and they throw this really big lavish party every year. Well, the older sister does anyways. And in this story, we kind of get a feel of like how their parents met and the background of their life, like how they grew up, and then how they really got to where they are today and being these like well-known celebrities who throw this big party. And then the second half of the book is just focused primarily on this party that just gets crazy and just out of control. I did love the book overall, and I thought it was kind of interesting though, because I read this book back in December. I am praying for all of those in California who experienced the wildfires. It was just really interesting because at the end of this book, which is not a spoiler, it tells you literally on the cover that Malibu goes up in flames. And so when I heard about all this stuff happening in California, I immediately thought about this book, but like I am praying for all of those people. The last book that I read in the month of December was The Christmas Box. I enjoyed this book for the most part. I think I gave this like 3.5 stars. I don't even know if I rated this book. It was just a very short, quick read that was just a cute little story about a father who is reminded of the true meaning of Christmas. It's about a family who moves into this home with this elderly lady living in this beautiful Victorian home, and she basically helps the father remember the importance of Christmas. There's a little bit of a magical, mystical little element in there as the father discovers a Christmas box in the attic. So those are the books that I read in the month of December. Moving on to what I read last month in January. The first book that I read in the month of January was The Crucible. I had been wanting to read this book for a while because I did read it a long time ago back in high school. We never got to actually read the full book. We kind of just did some passages and stuff from it, but I had always wanted to read the full book since then. So I'm happy that I did. This book is actually a play. So I listened to it in an audio version so that I can get like a dramatic read of it. It was so good. I gave this a 5 stars. It is basically inspired by, or basically in relations to, the Salem witch trials that took place a really long time ago. Basically, the book follows a bunch of teenage girls who are accusing people in the town of dealing in witchcraft and selling their souls to the devil. I'm pretty sure most of you already are familiar with the Salem witch trials, but if not, then you can fast forward so that this is not a spoiler. But newsflash, they're innocent people. They're not involved with the devil. They're not witches. Basically, the point of the story is trying to clear their names, and their friends and their family trying to also clear their names without also being accused of being a witch. The penalty for being accused of a witch or being affiliated with the devil is obviously, you know what I'm saying? One thing I appreciate about the book is that the messages in this book I feel like is so relevant for today. I feel like a lot of people should read this book because it made me think a lot about cancel culture. I also really appreciated this book because it made me think very deeply about religion and its role whenever it is central in government. So I don't know, this book was really good to me and I highly recommend it. Staying on the classic reading list, I went ahead and read 1984. I did not have to read this book in high school, so it has been really high on my reading list and something that I had been really wanting to read for a while, and I'm really glad that I did. I gave this book 4 stars. or 4.5 stars, one of the two. But it was really enjoyable. I think it is a book that needs to be read by everybody in this day and age. The book is focused around a main character in a dystopian world where the government rules everything, and the people in the government at the top basically want complete and forever power over the people. So they rule the people through control, manipulation, and basically trauma. And there's just a bunch of wars going on around them. It was a very good read, and I do highly recommend that if you are looking for a good book, that you consider this one. It is a bit of a long read, so it's going to be something that you're going to want to make time for, but I think it is worth making time for. The next book that I read was a reread of a book that I read either in the 6th grade or the 7th grade. That was Esperanza Rising. I read this book in the 6th or 7th grade, and I really loved it, but I could not remember for the life of me what happened in the story. I just remembered the way it made me feel. So I was like, you know what, I'm going to reread this book, and I am so glad that I did. This book is regarding a young girl who at the beginning of the story is rich and then ends up pretty much losing everything and having to live a impoverished life. This book focuses on classism and racism, especially in the United States. I don't want to talk too much about the book because I don't want to give away any spoilers, but it is really good, and I highly recommend it. It is geared towards a younger audience, so this is also a really good book for anyone who wants to find a good book for like their child or read with their child. But even if you're not a child, this book is a fantastic read, and I highly recommend it. The next book that I read was a book that I gave a low rating, and I have not given a book this low a rating in a while. The book that I read was Almost Gone. I gave this book 2 stars. This book was actually a book that I found at the Dollar Tree. I do have a little section of Dollar Tree books that I bought because I would like to do a series on my channel in which I talk about books that I've read from the Dollar Tree. Spoiler alert, just because a book is at the Dollar Tree doesn't mean that it will be bad. I've gotten some really good reads from there, but unfortunately, this one was just not it. This book is based on a true story. It is written by this family regarding this young girl's story of a relationship that she had with another young man of her age overseas. I just kind of felt, and many people did if you were to read the reviews, that, I don't know, it just were some things that just didn't sit right with me. I don't know how to, one, go into talking about it without spoiling the book, and two, without being mean or rude, because this is her story and I don't want to give my opinion on someone else's true story. But I just didn't care for the writing style of this book, and I also just was not a fan of the father. The book is written in the perspective of both the daughter and the father. I don't really know how to go into detail without just being rude or disrespectful towards them and their story. So I'm just not going to do that. I'm not going to go into any details, but for the most part, look, I gave this book 2 stars, and that's all I'm going to say. Last book that I read on my Kindle was The Centurion's Wife. This book was pretty enjoyable. It is a Christian fiction book. It is a Christian fiction book that is centered around a girl who works for and kind of is also kind of family to Pilate and his wife, and her relationship with the centurion soldier who she is betrothed to. This book is set in the period of the New Testament. So we do have actual people from the New Testament, like the disciples, Peter, Mary, all those kind of people in this book. However, they are not main characters or like background characters. The story is historical fiction, so it is focused around fake characters as well as real characters or real people from the Bible during the New Testament. And the main character is a fake person named Leah, and we basically are following her journey to discovering if she wants to be a follower of Christ, as well as her relationship with the centurion soldier. This book is part of a series. There's 3 books in the series, and this is the first book, and I do have the second book. I decided that I wanted to go ahead and read the other books in the series. I did rate this book a 3.5 stars. It wasn't all of that in the bag of chips, but it was a good comfort read, and I kind of enjoyed just having that historical fiction of the Bible kind of setting. I thought that was pretty cool. So that was all the books that I read in the past 2 months. I am already making my way through some books this month. So far in the month of February, I have read 2 books. So we'll see how many I'll have by the end of the month. I might do a video just for February, or I might do what I did this time and do 2 months. So February, in March I might do together, but we'll see. Also, stay tuned. I do again have a haul as well for you if you would like to see that. Thank you so much for supporting my channel. If you have any book recommendations that you would want to recommend to me based off of the books that I talked about today and the ratings that I gave them, please leave them down below. I do hope that you have a wonderful rest of your day. Please don't forget to like and subscribe.